this is where we left it. We have our layers and channels and everything. If you want this line art, you can have it. It's in my Discord. Let me show you. Right here. Right here. Flatted pages for practice. There I am. Twitch.tv/NickPhil. Flatted pages for practice. Here's the line art. Get it right now. Jump on this thing. Love to see you guys working out some of this stuff. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, get in there. Okay, so let's figure out what we're doing. I was thinking... What's up, Eric? Yeah, my favorite character is Strong Guy. That doesn't bother me at all that his name is Strong Guy. I was thinking that we would do kind of try to like amplify the foreground, middle ground, background by making like Wolverine and all these like front pieces of tech like darker. So like something like this. And then like lighten this up with like an orange kind of thing. Like something like that eventually. But first, before we do anything, I want to just like add some shadows down. My idea was this. Like, let's do this at night. Put Wolverine in the foreground. And the idea is that maybe the rest of the characters will be like in some sort of like fire or flames or like embers burning. So they're going to be kind of lit from below. However, Andy didn't really draw them that way, but we're going to try to like kind of fudge it a little bit because he put shadows down. So like what I mean by Andy didn't really draw it that way is that like he has like, when you see this, a like clear light source. Like when you look at Cyclops' arm here, right? He's got a little bit of hatching down here. So you have a light source that's like hitting his arm. Highest highlight here, fades to like kind of like half shadow here, and then, you know, into the blacks. So even though he drew it so that it's like light source, and you know, you could argue that maybe it's the laser face that he's blasting, good old laser face, but like you can see it on Wolverine too, like highlight here, you know, this is the highlight, this is the shadow down here, and like his abs are in shadow. Excuse me. Head is highlight, shadow is here. So we are gonna like kind of like buck the system a little bit, but I'm gonna try to make it work. I'm going to try to not worry about it. And then when it doesn't work, I'm going to worry about it a lot. That's the plan. So we selected all our characters. Let's just put some shadows on them. I'm probably going to lean into what the drawing is and then try to... I'm already worrying about it. I'm going to try to lean into like what Andy drew. And then fix it in post. Basically, I'm gonna take it to the Photoshop woodshed and just go to work. Basically, fix it with like special effects and you know, that kind of stuff. Like just try to get it to do what I want it to do in the end. So we're going to start with Wolverine. If you're unfamiliar with how I work, what I do is I select all the characters kind of like this, and then I will carve out the highlights. Is Strong Guy Italian? Is that what's happening in the chat? I didn't even know. Rich Italian heritage from the X-Men. Uh, so yeah, I'll carve out the highlights and then fill it with like a multiplied shadow on another layer, and then try to kind of finagle it from there. Mess with like palette and color, and then from there I'll kind of refine it. So I'm hoping to get to the point where we aren't like all the shadows are down, general color scheme is down, and then we'll figure out like how to refine it from there. I realize that like this is probably not the flashiest step, and we're gonna make a lot of cuts on this piece. Like we're gonna be doing a lot of lassoing. It's gonna be like 30 to 45 minutes of lassoing, so strap in of me just taking out highlights. Yeah. I don't know. A lot of comics work is like not sexy and flashy until like right at the very end when you kind of get close to what you want. He's Italian American? Excellent. So am I. If you couldn't tell by my name Filardi. I got to hit up a bookstore today. I was so focused when I moved to this area on like, okay, I got comic shops that I want to hit up because there's a handful of comic shops in my area, and it didn't even occur to me, oh, used bookstores will have comics. Like I should hit some used bookstores as well. Like, so I did a search and there was one like right around the corner from me. So today I was running an errand and I was like, you know what? I got a little time. I'm gonna go by that used bookstore, see if they got anything. I posted in the Discord. I picked up some Pogo stuff. If you guys aren't familiar with Pogo, I don't know if we're gonna keep this for the blades. We might just like deselect the blades. It might be a good idea. Oh, we should also preserve our flats by just duplicating the layer here. Locking that. There we go. So I was checking out what they had. They didn't have a lot, but they had some Pogo, which was pretty cool. And the Pogo collections, it was a newspaper strip in the 60s. If you're a fan of Bone, you will be at least a fan of the art on Pogo. It's Jeff Smith, heavily influenced by Pogo. But I got a couple collections. I had never read any Pogo stuff before. I knew Jeff Smith was heavily influenced by it. I had seen some drawings and stuff in some books and online, but like never really like dove into like an actual collection. So I'm stoked on it. I'm stoked to read it. I'll probably talk about it on the podcast too. Whenever I get around to reading it. I was thinking about buying that. I mean, I think I talked about it before on the previous art stream, but man, I'm still thinking about buying that Hernandez Brothers book, the omnibus that Fantagraphics put out, like the first the 40 issues of Love and Rockets. Man, still thinking about that thing. I don't know though. It's expensive. So, who knows? And it's not like I have a shortage of stuff to read. That's the real issue. The bookstore, the used bookstore, was actually pretty cool. It was a nice little space, and everything goes to charity. And they had a very small comic section. So, like I said, I got Pogo, um, I got a Delia Dirk book. A lot of all ages kind of stuff was in there. Um, what else did I get? I got a couple of things of Pogo, Delia Dirk book. Let me see. I'm gonna check my comic hauls. Oh, I got a guide to Springfield, like a map thing. Um, and then I got a John Constantine, like Vertigo black and white murder mystery book. It was part of like this Vertigo line that they put out these like manga sized hardcovers that are in black and white back when Vertigo was a thing. And I have a Somni one. I have one by Chris Somni, like before he was Chris. I mean, he still was Chris Somni, but you know what I mean. Like before he was very very popular, and you could see him kind of like working out the kinks of like what would eventually become a very streamlined style in it. Oh man, really great to see when artists are trying stuff out, and they're not totally solidified. I just read Guy Davis's Honor Among Punks, which I don't know if I can necessarily recommend you read, because it's a dense, tough read, and the lettering is kind of rough in it, and it makes the whole book's like 99% of it's talking heads, and when like it's talking heads like that and the lettering is rough, then you're having a rough time. You're having a rough time. So I don't know if I can full throat like holla at it, but like it was interesting to read because Guy Davis drew it, and it was Guy Davis in like his earliest kind of work. Like they talk about in the intro, a guy named Gary Reed helped him put it all together. Like Guy Davis was making some zines and bringing them around to cons. This was like the late '80s, and he had a backup in there that was like a gender bent punk version of Sherlock Holmes, and that gender bent punk version, like side story, rather than being the main story, Gary Reed was like, you should just do this. Like, why don't we just do this? And so they made it. I don't know who put it out originally. I think it's out of print now, but you can find some trade paperbacks floating around. Um, some British company probably. Uh, but yeah, just seeing Guy Davis go from like super cartoony to like he starts hatching and he basically does not stop hatching. Like he gets a little taste for it and then he just keeps going and going and going. It's very 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 good to see. uh Nice to witness. Yeah, whew, that book. She's a beaut, but she's tough to read. I don't know if we should really. So there's a lot of stuff that I do uh, that might kind of seem a little excessive. Like when I start to kind of like do these cutouts for the highlights. Um, One of it is like I know that I'm gonna go in and like paint in some of the smoke, so I'm not really sweating this like smoke trail out of this beam gun that Cable has, because I know that when we start to like refine it, it's faster for me to paint it in than it is to get like the right highlights. And a lot of this stuff is like, when I was first starting, it was like, oh, I'll put the cut down and it's got to be perfect. But like now I know that like since I'm gonna do another pass on it, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like we can get real loose with it. Um, just like try out a few things and see what happens. Like that's totally fine too. See what the shadows end up looking like. It's got like a weird pouch here. We really want to amp foreground, middle ground, background on this piece because there's, I think, more space than you realize just like with a glance at this. And I think we can make it look like it has even more space in it with some tricks and some extras going on in it. By the way, no Fire Emblem this weekend. We've been streaming some Fire Emblem. I've been enjoying it. The Dawn Brigade on the Wii are not necessarily fun units to play with. And I don't know if you guys caught the other Fire Emblem stream, but like I was like, I'm real excited about having Jill on the team. I'm going to promote Jill. And then they were like, cool, you don't get to use Jill for the next 2 rounds. And I'm like, well, okay. Thanks for not letting me use the people that I wanted to use in my Fire Emblem game. Can't blame me for bailing on those losers. I'm not bailing on them. We're taking a break. I got 5 Japanese budget PS2 games, and I have a Japanese PS2, so we're gonna see if that works. We might end up playing Fire Emblem anyway, because like if the Japanese PS2 doesn't fire up or I end up having problems with it, Fire Emblem's the safe backup, because I know that stuff works. So we'll see. I haven't tested it yet, is what I'm saying. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Also on Sunday on twitch.tv/smite, I'm going to be playing basically a version of Nick Arcade for Twitch. I'm going to be paired with the Boyks, and we are going to try to win Smite's arcade pit. You guys should check that out. I played once before. I'm 1-0, so I'm coming in undefeated. And you know, I'm definitely going to take it real hard when I lose. But I'm not going to lose because I'm undefeated. Like, am I going to cry? Maybe. I don't know. You're going to have to tune in and watch. There were some drawing segments in that show, in Arcade Pit, where you have to use MS Paint, like it's like because they want it to be kind of fair for everyone, and the way that the Cintiq's stylus interacts with MS Paint is so weird, because you click and you drag across the canvas like this, you just drag across the canvas, and instead of it being one line, it like reads the pressure, but it reads the pressure as like either on or off. So if I'm not like pressing down hard, or if I drag it too fast, it's just like puts dots down rather than a line. It's just like a dotted line. So I'm gonna mess around with that a little bit before we play, because I did a drawing of Goth Luigi the last time that we ended up playing, and I was happy with it. However, I got to bring the heat, Gotta get used to the program. Bring the heat. That's on Sunday. Of course, I'll let the Discord know. I wish that I had a second day to play video games consistently, but one of the things I'm like really wrestling with is like I really want to get started on some of my own stuff. I've had like a fire in me to like finish that zine. I had like a there was two things. So I made a zine and I uh thumbnailed it, scripted it, thumbnailed it, started drawing it, and then there were two scenes within it, within the 18 pages, that like weren't working quite right. And then like, months later, I'm just like I was either like on the treadmill or in the shower, like those kinds of situations where you're like not really thinking about anything, you just kind of let your mind wander. And I think I solved both scenes. And so I'm like dying to get back into it, to like try it out, see it on paper. The other thing is that I've never lettered anything, and I'm very paranoid with like how the lettering is going to look because I want it to be legible. Um, I don't want it to be like Honor Among Punks, the gender bent uh, Sherlock Holmes thing that I read. That was like kind of unreadable at points. It wasn't unreadable. I'm being too hard on it. It wasn't unreadable. It was just tough to read. The guy who lettered it hand lettered a lot of it, and there my own dyslexic brain was struggling at pieces of it. It was just like having a hard time. Um, I'm barely literate anyway, so it is what it is. Uh, as you could tell every time I try to pronounce a name in Fire Emblem, barely literate, getting every name wrong. But yeah, so I've been like wanting to get back into that and wanting to finish it, and then we were talking in Discord today about a thing that I was working on. Murder She Ship posted, and I think I got an angle on it. I think I got for a long time I was like I don't know what this is, and like I scripted a small thing and it was like kind of just self-contained whatever. Um, and I didn't really know what it was gonna be, but now I think I do. So I kind of want to get back to that too. I don't know. We'll see. This is my problem is like I'd love to start like a random game night or a uh, Resident Evil game night. I'd love to play through the Resident Evil games on stream. Just start at one and just like keep going. But it's also about like where do I want to actually spend my time? Like I also like do I want to play Resident Evil more than I want to play more than I want to like finish a zine? Not really. Like kind of want to finish that zine. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm real conflicted about this stuff. I wish I just had more time, really. Wish I had more time for everything. They made a game based on the movies. Hey man, those movies are cinematic masterpieces. They elevate the genre. I do have a they're terrible movies, but I do have a soft spot for them. Man, on the podcast we're wrapping up Nightfall, and I'm having a lot of feelings about it. Like that arc is so close to my heart because it was like the Batman stuff that I read when I first started reading comics. Um, and we'll talk about it. Jason and I are going to do like a Nightfall wrap up episode, but it's like simultaneously worse and better than I remember it being. which is a weird space to occupy. I feel like I understand Azrael a little better though. In my mind, he was like this kind of like spiritual Christian avenging angel thing, and in reality, he is this kind of desperate, impotent loser. He's kind of a terrible, terrible character. Like, I don't know if you root for Azrael. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. But man, they sure couldn't get him. Once they had him in the Bat books, they didn't even have him in the Bat books for a full year before they're like, Bruce Wayne's coming back. We promise. Just like did not age or did not go the way that editorial thought it was gonna go. Which is kind of fun on one hand. But is he the best of all the replacement superhero characters? Between him, Steel, Cyborg, Superman, and Eradicator, and Superboy. Probably Superboy is better. Probably. Was there any other... I guess Kyle Rayner was kind of a replacement for Green Lantern at the time. And they introduced Impulse just recently. Just recently. In the era of comics that we're reading. I read that Impulse first appearance, and I don't know, maybe it's because I didn't read any of the other Flash stuff, but I was just like, I don't know if I like this issue, or Impulse for that matter. But I think I might read some more Flash. Like, that era of Flash is William Mensner Loebs is writing it. I'm talking about Flash Volume 2, which starts in like the mid to late 80s. And then around issue 63 in like the mid 90s, Mark Waid takes over with Mike Wieringo. Which I'm like, maybe this is good. Impulse in an era where Wally West was just introduced as the Flash. Yeah, and Barry Allen is gone. Yeah, I know. It's like, hey, we got a new Flash. Hey, here's another one. It's like, I guess. I don't know. The wild thing is, too, about that is that they're about to do Zero Hour, which is like this soft reboot of the entire universe. And I'm like, you just introduced these characters. Like, and I know they stick around. Why are we doing any sort of reboot? Like, what is the point of Zero Hour? Just absolutely buck wild choices. But like they end up like retconning, you know, Batman Year 2 gets removed from his history as like non-canon. Catwoman's origin as a hooker gets changed, maybe for the better. And I'm like, I don't know that. Like, I think Crisis on Infinite Earths was when you should have been doing this stuff. Because now it's like, hey, look at all these new characters. But by the way, we're rebooting. All right, let's put a shadow down. That's a shadow. It's pretty intense. We're gonna fade it just a bit. Okay, so what we can do here, from here, is I can take, like, so here's the shadow we put down. And one of the things that I like about this is that in art, when you make like when you make a lot of like fine details in the shadows, they don't necessarily register as shadows, but when you start to like sculpt out the light, you get like this kind of like big chunky shadow. Like this is just one big shadow in here, and that stuff helps, like, I don't know, build form and also like kind of make it look more artistic. I don't know. It's better on the art. I don't know how to describe it, but it works better when you have like interconnected shadows. Um, so we're gonna basically take this, what we just put down. We want to select the inverse of it, and then put this down as like a highlight, kind of. So like we're able to kind of work it from here. This is what I was thinking. Obviously, this isn't final colors, but this is what I was thinking. However, 0 hour is just an excuse to get rid of the JSA. Was it? I don't know anything about 0 hour. And 0 hour seems bad. It seems like not interesting. Only for them to come back a few years later. I believe it. Let's blue up some of this stuff. To be thrown out 10 years later and then come back again. You know why? You know why that happens? It's because the people who are in charge of DC Comics are older. And they're like, wait, no, I like the JSA. Can we bring them back? Excellent, let's bring them back. And then they don't sell well, and then they're like, oh, we should get rid of the JSA. So this is Wolverine's kind of connective tissue. We're gonna put him in blues. Let's select the stuff in front of him. I don't know. Can we select that with the... Yeah. Let's not make work harder for ourselves. Kind of darken this stuff up. I'm using this... I'm doing this in RGB. Oh, we have faded this to 42. What's up, Diatra? How you doing, man? It doesn't say Fire Emblem below me. I updated that, right? Yeah, it's updated. You made me paranoid. So we're gonna remove the Wolverine and maybe remove the back shadow there, and then wash it with like an orange. You know what? Let's do this on let's do this one on our new layer, because I'm going to be trying to figure this out. So yeah, the idea is that we're going to have like kind of a light source from below here and kind of like get some fire embers going, and you know, kind of like smoke out some of these clouds and stuff. We can, let's warm up these we should probably still keep them warm, but maybe not that warm. Yeah, something like that. We can take this. So the advantage of like any particular reason for working on RGB this time, yes, this isn't going to print. So because it's not going to print and everyone's going to see it on their phone screens, I'd rather just embrace the fact that we're in RGB for RGB devices. You know, you're going to see it on your computer screen, you're going to see it on co-host. This isn't going to print, so we don't have to worry about. CMYK is built for print, RGB is built for web. Might as well just lean into RGB. Embrace digital, exactly. So this is what I'm thinking roughly for the color scheme. And then I was thinking about, so I have these deleter screens that I scanned. I bought these zip tone screens from Japan, and then I made some scans. And I was thinking about dropping the cityscape into the background. Let's just see how that looks. Let's just see. Could be cool. There's not a whole lot of space for them to shine, but it could be cool. Maybe shrink them. And then like flip it, maybe, for the other side. Plus, RGB gets us into a lot of colors that we can't normally get into. Try to get the zip tone to line up as best I could. Let's flatten that and then multiply it down. We can kind of like I don't know, maybe even warm it up. Maybe even warm it up. I don't know. I don't know what that's gonna look like when we're done. But it's certainly there. It's certainly there. We want Cyclops' visor to be a pure, like, red. So we're going to amp that up. All right. Let's figure something out. So we have the smoke, and in my mind, I was like, the smoke is going to be fiery, right? So let's try to figure that out. Oh, we can probably... I don't know that I'm going to mess with anything more going on here. What if we duplicated this? It's a little much. Hey, Mom's turn. What's up? Maybe we can push Wolverine a little bit in the front, a little darker. Just a hair darker. There's a color that's happening with the yellow and blue that's turning his suit green that freaking rules. Looks so good. Okay, so I think that this is kind of where we're gonna stand for now. So let's just flatten all this. I think we've done enough tooling around with the colors. Let's flatten, and then let's figure out what we're doing with the smoke. So, like I said, I kind of want to do like a fiery kind of thing. I don't know exactly how it's gonna work yet, but we can kind of start there, I guess. It means we can kind of go lighter with the gun smoke. Maybe even like lighten this up completely. I'm getting text messages. I gotta make sure that they are not. Oh, it's fine. Not work related. Green Wolverine, I've gone too far. I'll go further. Just watch. Alright, so this is the skin tone. So we're gonna warm up the skin tone kind of across the board. I don't know that that's maybe too warm. Select these like kind of weird oranges that are around. I kind of like them, but maybe they gotta mute a little bit, otherwise they're gonna start to compete with Wolverine. Cyclops has this light rim light on him that we're gonna really like lean into. I'm actually very excited about that. Psylocke is getting just drowned right out, so let's purple her up a little bit. Man, I don't know if I like this red. I think we're getting there. Man, how much time is it? Only 40 minutes? Are we just gonna like blaze through this thing? I thought this was gonna be 2 streams easy, but maybe not. Maybe we just knock this out. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's select this thing. I'm on the wrong layer. We're gonna put like a shadow of Cable back here. He's a big beefy boy. We selected it incorrectly. And then let's kind of like embrace the light here. So a lot of this challenge of this piece is going to be, since we're putting down like warm highlights on a like kind of dark, we're having like warm and cool stuff next to each other. And so a lot of the difficulty that we're going to have is like these two things are going to meet in the middle and become this like gray tone that we don't want. Like we want something to look, you know, we want saturation. We want it to look decent. We don't want it to look beige. I'm assuming the light is like semi-diffused around this shadow. So that's what we're gonna do. Last time you saw me, Nightcrawler was entirely blue. Guess what? He's back, baby. What's up, Surf Wizard? How you doing? Oh, we're gonna light up the lights on this tech, by the way, but I don't know what light they're gonna be. So for right now, we're just gonna put some green in here. In fact, we can probably select it on the flats. That's a little easier. A couple clicks. Done deal. I don't know if we're gonna go with green because it's got to match the rest of what we're doing. So who knows? He's still entirely blue. Yes. Yes. I'm watching a lot of Star Trek Deep Space Nine right now. This is going to be a weird side conversation, but you were saying he doesn't know what he looks like, what Nightcrawler looks like under the suit. That area could be purple. I just watched an episode like a week ago of like Jadzia Dax kind of like flirting with this dude, and she has these on her face, around her temples that go down her neck. She has these like dots, and the guy was like, "How far do your markings go?" And she was like, "All the way down." And I was like, "Oh my god, nerds are loving this." Maybe nerds are loving this too much. Maybe. Hey, Worf isn't even in the episode yet, or in the season yet. Worf's a good dude. I watched a lot of TNG. Yeah, it's weird. I like just randomly became a Star Wars nerd. Just at total random. I don't know. I don't know how it happened. It just kind of happened. Did I say Star Wars? Star Trek nerd? Is that's allowed? You can mix those up, right? The fandom doesn't care. Yeah, I'm like 3 seasons into Deep Space Nine. All of TNG. I bounced off of Deep Space Nine initially because I was like neck deep in TNG, and I was really enjoying the Next Generation, and then I went to Deep Space Nine, and I went from like HD Star Trek, and then went to Deep Space Nine, and it was like, hey, now it's going to be in SD. Where here's a blurry image of a starship, and I was like, this sucks. Why is it like this? And then I kind of fell off for a while, and now I'm back, and I'm like, oh, this is really good. And then over the Christmas break, my father-in-law was watching on television. He was watching reruns of a show called Enterprise, which apparently was not well received by the community. But I was like, yo, there's more stuff. I didn't even know about Enterprise. Or Trek 40K. Yeah, exactly. It's all interchangeable. It doesn't matter at all. Nobody's keeping track of it. You can just say whatever you want to on the internet. That's the thing. Enterprise got better in season 3. Yeah, so I was doing a little reading on Enterprise because I was like, when we were watching it, I was like, what is this show? When is it supposed to take place? And apparently season 3 especially, they like broke the format. They were doing uh like self-contained episodes, and then season 3 they were like, we're doing an overarching arc, which they probably should have been doing from the very beginning. But you know, by then, yeah, by then the damage was done. Yeah. It's like you can't just change up your show and expect people to still watch. Like even if it is like a positive thing. Like people had already tuned out. There wasn't much to. Season 3 went into full post 9/11 metaphor. Oh no. Yeah, 9/11 was a horrible thing. Uh I and you know, terrible, terrible. Like I don't mean to you know, minimize that at all. However, the effect that it had on pop culture, awful. Like I'm watching Battlestar Galactica existed. It just did it better everywhere. Yeah. I've watched some Battlestar. I'm into that. I can feel that. Um, I we're watching The Wire, right? And like they're doing like drug busts and stuff, and they get the feds involved, and the feds are like, "Oh yeah, we don't do drugs anymore. It's all counterterrorism." And they're just like, "Well, but you know, the streets," and they're like, "The streets don't matter. It's counterterrorism all day." And I'm just like, why? I'm like, drugs are in your community now. Like, don't worry about the terrorist attack that might come later. What are you doing? I don't know. It's okay. 9/11 shoveled a bunch of money into the, you know, military war machine, and then they shoveled all the stuff that they weren't using to local police, and that worked out all fine, right? Like all local policing is fine now, right? Man, this stream got away from me. I'm gonna back off from my liberal agenda for for a second. Sorry about that. I saw an opportunity, and I the 9/11 issue of Spider-Man. Oh yeah, I know. That stuff has not aged well. I Where even Doctor Doom cried. Yeah. It's so stupid. I Listen, like, far be it from me, like, if people need that, like, far be it from me to like rain on their parade, you know, like I people grieve in different ways and whatever, but like it's like when I see, you know, Kevin Conroy passed. Tragic. Tragic, right? And then people are like, I'm gonna do some fan art of Batman crying about Kevin Conroy's death, and I'm like, what are we doing? Please stop. His his whole life does not boil down to the fact you like Batman. Like, come on. What I'm saying is, if I ever pass away, which is unlikely at this point, let's just be straight up with that. Uh, do not make Batman sad about about me passing away, because I find that very stupid, actually. When did Cable grow a beard? This was in the 90s, so the 90s, I guess. He definitely has this beard. It is a definite thing. Man, it's like I want room to run on his face. Like I want space to kind of paint, and there's just so many fucking lines on his face. Like we get it. We get it. He's very old. Here's the thing. Cable, very old. And if you cover your drawing in lines, then your colorist doesn't have any opportunity to do any work. We're gonna make him an old blue hair. Getting that senior citizen discount wherever he goes. I don't know if we're gonna stick with this. Maybe just like on the top. We might fade it. Yeah, because it's not dark enough down here. It's not gonna look like a beard. Throw a grad through it in a minute. Yeah, that technological virus will age you. Also, dealing with Scott Summers. Having Scott Summers as a dad, that can't be something all that great, right? I mean, right? I think that the beard's too busy. We're going to select all of his hair, right? Yeah, that looks a lot better. I guess it depends on which version of Scott Summers. All versions got to be tough to deal with. I don't know if I like this skin tone, and it sucks to be an RGB because I have less experience in RGB, and I'm like, I don't know what this skin tone needs, and the sliders act like slightly differently in RGB. I don't know. I suppose I could have put it in CMYK. He's got 5 guys across 2 timelines and 2 alternate realities. 5 kids. Oh my god. That'll age you. When you start dealing with your alternate reality children, that's going to age you. Okay. I think that one of my problems is that his pouches are all kind of brown and crap. Like his glove is brown and here, yeah, we'll warm it up. We're gonna leave this actually mostly in shadow. Let's take his steel arm and give it a little bit of blue. We should probably do that to this metal part here too. Maybe just shift it, because I don't want to... Alright. I think he's looking okay. The gun feels a little bit, I don't know, doughy and out of perspective, but it was the 90s, so we're gonna forgive Andy. But it's blending in too much. We gotta like turn it into a like solid actual thing. The problem is Cable's weird body. His tongue is looking very tonguey. It is. Yeah, it's from the future. It's just built like that. Yeah. Okay, here's the problem. Cable looks like he found a scrap metal yard and then covered himself in glue and just kind of rolled around. That's the problem with Cable. Is there's no visual unity to any of this. And holding the gun to his chest is making the gun look like his chest because there's no visual unity to any of this. This is the problem that we're having. Like, we need to separate the gun from the rest of Cable. Yeah, we'll let the colorist fix it. Exactly. Exactly. Although if you saw the final colors, not to discourage everyone, everyone's on a journey, and the 90s were definitely a weird time for comic book coloring. But, little questionable. Some questionable choices in the final art for this cover. This was a Wizard magazine cover. And it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Every mutant in the 90s was part gun. Yeah, you're not wrong. I was there. I remember. Not Chamber. Cyclops' eye guns. He was made in the 60s. Jubilee is a vampire. You're not wrong about that. Man, why did they... I remember hearing about... They, like, wanted to make... They wanted to, like, link the mutant gene to, like, vampirism at one point in the 90s or something. There was, like, something like that that was happening. Where, like, X-Men were vampires or something. I I can't exactly remember. It's dumb. I remember it's dumb. But and it was like someone on high made that choice, like someone in editorial. 2000s cashing in on the Twilight craze might be. I thought there was like a specific reason, like they wanted to make more heroes or something, and they didn't want it to be everybody's a mutant, so they started like introducing vampires. I think that's the reason, but I'm not sure. Guy Gardner discovered he was part of an alien race and suddenly could transform parts of his body into a weapon. Is that real? Is that in Guy Gardner Warrior? Because I always see that on a list of things that like nobody read. Also, I know that like all of the all of the Green Lanterns are cops, and like legally you have to tell me if you're a Green Lantern, otherwise it's entrapment. But like, is Guy Gardner a cop? Because he seems like not really a cop. He seems like he would not rat you out. Just from the little bit that I've read of Guy Gardner, which is to say, none of it. I've read none of it, but I've seen him in some shows, and he seems like a loose cannon. He got tossed out as fast as possible. Yeah. What? His Green Lantern ring overwrote his DNA. Power mentioned before and never mentioned again. Yeah, yeah. Look, the only thing I know for sure is that when Aquaman got that water hand, that shit was great, and when he got that hook hand, that shit was great. That's just good comics. Just good Aquaman comics. That shit was great. Thank you, Surf Wizard. Yeah, yeah. Garth Ennis ignoring the angel. I mean, but that happens with all comics, right? Like one writer does one thing and then the next writer takes over and they're like, "I'm not doing any of this." Like you're on your own. Franken Punisher was awesome. You are right about that. Man, I haven't read those books in a long time. I should reread them. Fans hated it though, didn't they? At the time, they were like, "What is this nonsense? Why did you give us Frankencastle?" And Marvel was like, "It's good for you. Eat it." Yeah, it's the kind of we're gonna turn Thor into a frog kind of idea. You mean the best idea? That's what you mean to say. It's the best idea. I love it when comics take big swings like that. I feel like it happens less and less in mainstream comics now. Like I think the last like Punisher fans are stupid and we shouldn't listen to most of them. Wow, shots fired. Sorry, Punisher fans. Although I do agree that a lot of Punisher stuff gets looked at as like an on ramp for fascist ideas. Like his whole branding gets co-opted by people who like just don't understand like who he is. Uh, which is some hot bullshit. People don't know how to read critically. They just don't. Man, I really like how this Wolverine like came out. Should we have done everybody in blue? Should we have just done everybody in blue? I don't know, maybe. I don't know when we're gonna be done with this, but like I wonder if I'm gonna work on it for like a little while here today, and then we're gonna do a third stream eventually, and I'm gonna be like, we gotta throw all of this out. It sounds like something I would do. That does sound like me. Back to formula? Yeah, exactly. Look, if there's one thing I've learned uh, in making anything, it's give yourself enough time to redo it if you can, and also cut yourself some slack and kill your darlings. Because who baby, sometimes you need to really just reevaluate. Sometimes things get away from you. I was just thinking about that today. I actually did a scene. I pulled a scene from an issue that I did before, and it was like the last scene of an issue, and I could tell that I was tired because I was looking at it, and I was like, this isn't as strong as it could be. I was like, I goofed it. I goofed it up. But I got a chance to redeem myself because I got that same scene again in the next issue. And I was like, oh, we'll fix it. And then people will know. Just like Hal Jordan after 0 Hour. Yeah. Let's just like erase everything. Nothing existed. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Wolverine came out dope. This is so good. Man, I love it when shit comes together. You know where it's not coming together? This guy. This guy is not coming together. But this guy down here, this guy came together. We'll have to approach Cable with fresh eyes. I mean, maybe the problem is that he's a visual mess and I just have to like embrace the fact that I'm not going to get him to not be a visual mess. Did I throw myself into the dying sun to reignite it? No. I won't go that far. I won't zero hour this thing. Unless. With some Popeye looking arms? Yeah. I mean, he is jacked. He's short and jacked. Hey, Mom's turn. How are you? Wolverine is Popeye's dad? Impossible. He's Canadian. I don't know what I mean by that. As if when you're Canadian, you like, I don't know, don't have parents, I guess. I don't know. It's a bad joke. Yeah, I don't know what Cable's excuse is, why he looks like this. Cable. I don't... Man, all of this, like, frustrates me. It just all looks fucking weird to me. It did not come easy like Wolverine did. And I wonder if... what part of the problem is that Andy Kubert is enjoying drawing Wolverine down here, but maybe just kind of threw Cable in. Like maybe not the biggest Cable fan. I don't know. Maybe I went too soft with his face and everything. I don't know. Yeah, Wolverine and Scott Pilgrim are both Canadian and therefore brothers? Question mark? Or maybe even the same people. I've never seen them in a room together. We have a lot of like competing overlaying elements, and I feel like that stuff's going to get tied up together at the end. But the thing that's keeping me from getting to that end is the fact that I hate the way Cable looks. Maybe it's the wall behind Cable that's screwing me up. Maybe that is what's going on. Hold on. You base this color based on the Cyclops' beam? Kind of. Like, I knew that I wanted Wolverine in the foreground popping forward, so I knew that he was going to be kind of like a darker color. And then I wanted to make it night, and then Cyclops' beam kind of like lighting up the area. But then I was like, oh, we could also do like, we could paint in some like embers and stuff down here and kind of like make it like there's a small fire or whatever. Um, that was the thought process. Yeah, Psylocke is in a very spine-cracking position, for sure. Do we, like, just desaturate it? Just, like, make these gray hunks? I think this is the thing that's part of why I'm struggling with cable. Oh yeah, you want to? Did you find the original? Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can find the original. Oh, this isn't actually what I was remembering. But which issue is this? Maybe I can find this in a better. 1993. Everything blends together. It looks better than I remembered it. But worse than it should be. Okay, here it is. I found it. I found a good shot of it. And again, the 90s were a wild time, so let's just kind of chill with criticism of this, because everyone was doing the best they could. But it's a lot. The one thing I do think it has going for it is that they are doing like a limited color scheme thing, which is like kind of interesting to explore. But it's just so busy. It's just so busy. And Cyclops' beam is pink. So I don't know how that got through. Yeah. Bonkers. And look at this graphic design. Absolutely bonkers. Illegible nonsense. No, we don't have to save that. Not Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner's not weak to anything. His ring has 0 weaknesses. Okay, we're going to get rid of this cable shadow. I think it's like cluttering up the silhouette. I guess I'm just going to paint it out. I don't know. Oop. Maybe we can actually push that whole thing back. Oh my gosh, he beat Black Canary with a bag over her head? That sounds like an awful story. Man, I read Kyle Rayner's, like, My Green Lantern. Like, when I started reading Green Lantern, I was reading Kyle's stuff. And I started rereading some of it on the DC app. I don't know if it holds up. Throw that out there. It might not. But at the time, I remember really enjoying Kyle Rayner Green Lantern because he was like, I'm an artist, and I was like, oh, I'm an artist too, but like, you know, I was in high school, so I wasn't really an artist, but I was like, I mean, I guess I was. I don't know why I quantified it like that. I was on my path. I was doing it. I was putting the work in. But I was definitely like, Kyle's like me, which is I think what DC was going for. Cable looks a little better now. I think that Shadow is like really competing with him in like a very strange way. Let me get rid of this stuff too. Oh, we didn't extend everything to the edge apparently. Captain America worked briefly as a comic artist? I didn't know that. Not only did I not know that, but that doesn't even sound right to me in my brain. Okay. Why is this acting like this? It should act totally fine. Oh, it's because I have set to screen. I don't think I've read like for as much Green Lantern as I read when I was a kid, which is probably at least a few years worth. I don't think I've ever read a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern story where I was like, hell yeah. Like, at least say what you will about Guy Gardner, but like his fans can point to stories where they're like, I liked Guy Gardner in this. Like, at least his fans can be like, Guy Gardner Warrior was a good time. In the 70s, when that weird period where he wasn't Captain America, yeah, that was weird. That was when he was a comic artist for a while. You know that, you remember that you know that that one comic where they're like, make way, a cartoonist is coming through? Let me see if I can find that. This one. This classic image. Whenever a comic artist makes a character, like a superhero, a comic artist in the story, this is how I picture it. Like, I'm the coolest person there is. Like, oh yeah, this stuff, this smoke stuff. Yeah, I don't think Andy completely thought that stuff out. Mom's turn. I think I'm going to be wrestling that in the future, to be sure. Have you never seen that before, Eric? It's very good. A lovely woman, who's also a cartoonist, I assume, made a version that is more female friendly, with like dudes under her arm and stuff. Very, very good. Yeah, you saw those? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the original. The more misogynistic one is the original. Man, I feel like I'm just muddying the hell out of the forum here, but I don't know, whatever. In the 90s, briefly, that was a. Yes, you're right. We all saw Rob Liefeld's jeans commercial. You are correct. Did I ever get my jeans commercial that I was promised when I was pursuing comic art? No, never happened. If I had enough the this thing is his gun. Yes. There's a there's a lot to unpack with Cable. I don't know why we're still working on Cable. Mentally I was like we're not going to work on Cable anymore. I can't handle his whole shit, but I guess we're here now. They never sold your pants in a Wizard magazine. Yeah. This future I was promised was very different than the future that I received. Is what I'm trying to say. You met a comic owner who told you once, a comic store owner that told you once in the 90s that he saw a rock star comic artist at the time snort cocaine off of a copy of Action Comics #1. That's comics, baby. The 90s were a weird, weird time. My local pizza place that I like has a photo up of Todd McFarlane, who came in and got pizza once, I guess. It baffles me every time I'm in there. Like, every time. I'm just like, fucking Todd McFarlane. Why is your photo up? Like, and it's the only one up. It's not like there's a wall of celebrities or anything. It's just Todd. It's just Todd. Just getting a slice. I asked the owner when he was serving me, and I was like, "Hey, is that Todd McFarlane?" And he was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Huh, you read comics?" He was like, "No." And then he was like, "That guy has a lot of money." I was like, "Okay." What I'm saying is life is weird sometimes, and you gotta embrace it. It can get weird on you. Eating matcha ice. There's an ice cream stand nearby that has a picture of Obama eating the matcha ice cream there. Everyone goes there to get ice cream, which is the exact same as the other 7 shops on the tourist street. Yeah. Obama, I kind of understand because it's like he's a world leader, you know? Like when it's like Todd McFarlane, like I'm like, do people know Todd McFarlane? Like, I mean, I guess the owner of the shop did. Baffling. It is an Obama's matcha ice cream. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for logging on, Fake McCoy. We've been talking a lot about Guy Gardner. I know you're the resident Guy Gardner defender. Missed all the good stuff. I was actually saying that I keep seeing Guy Gardner Warrior because I'm going through all these '90s books for the podcast World's Second Finest, and I'm trying to find stuff that's happening around the DC. There's dozens of you, yeah. Trying to find stuff that's like around the DC universe that's happening at the time, like books that are coming out alongside, Nightfall, Knight's Quest, all that stuff, and the site that I'm using is League of Comic Geeks is the site, and it uses a thing that's like most pull boxed. So like if people have it in their collection a lot, it'll pop up higher on the list of like whatever came out that particular week. And Guy Gardner Warrior always on the bottom of the DC books. I don't know. But it makes me curious. I'm like, it can't be that bad. And then I watched the Green Lantern cartoon that was like really good. Oh, they have something similar to CLZ. Yeah, that's what I use, CLZ. But I liked Guy in the cartoon, so I'm like, shit, should I start reading Guy Gardner Warrior? I'm like, is that even in the DC app? It's got to be, right? You're currently rebuilding the. Oh, did you sell it? Like a maniac? I'll tell you what, that time that you and I, that brief time that you and I were like, let's start selling things in our collection, like make room for some other stuff. There's a couple of things that I wish I didn't sell. I wish I didn't sell my Berserk trades. Oh, you destroyed it. Why did you destroy it? Accidentally or on purpose? Destroyed and lost. I assume accidentally. I think we worked the gun enough that like I don't need this weird like line thing going on. We can just keep that black again. Read them, threw them on the floor, walked all over them. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I get you. I get you. I would always, mine were usually destroyed by just like throwing them in the backpack and then walking around school and, whatever. Just not bagged and boarded, keeping them on me at all times. Just absolutely, totally destroyed. I've got the Batman animated like art book that I have is like basically falling apart, but I'll never get rid of it. Too many good memories attached. Bury me with that thing. Okay, Cable looks a little better to me now. But I'm still iffy on this entire thing. I don't know if we did this right. Like I said, we could go back to formula. I reserve the right. You read Guy Gardner up until it became Guy Gardner Warrior. It wasn't very good once he became a weird half alien. Yeah, they were saying that he like can turn his arm into a gun or something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I can get behind that. The 90s in general were just a weird time for comic books. Jason and I were talking about this on the podcast just the other day that, like, yeah, you've got, like, Guy Gardner Warrior coming out. You've got, like, Sandman. Even pre Sandman, even pre Vertigo, you have like the Spectre, which is a very much like a proto uh, Vertigo title. It feels like comics were just all there was like, oh yeah, thanks for hanging out, Momstern. There was like just all kinds of like weird stuff that was happening in comics like all over the place, as they were having like all these growing pains where like it was some people were doing the same stuff they've been doing since the 70s, you know, with like kind of like, oh, we're writing for the newsstand. You know, it wasn't that they were like stuck in their ways, but they were just like writing for those newsstand issues where it's like, okay, everything's got to like kind of stand on its own. Can't really like, if you're gonna have a continuation of a series, you got to explain it, you know. And then slowly people started writing stuff for, you know, trade paperbacks and for adults, and it was like this huge growth that was happening. Yeah, you got Azrael, Doomsday, and Zero Hour on one hand, and then Animal Man, Doom Patrol, Shade the Changing Man. Yeah. So it was like, it's just like a wild time to be a comic reader. You never knew what you were going to get. Never. There was like, I feel like there was a, like, there was just non existent quality control. Or they were just making so many things for so many different people that like there's something for you out there, but like trying to realize that it's the Sandman is what you want and not Guy Gardner Warrior. It's like, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough for somebody to pierce who isn't into comics, you know. I don't know. Just a wild time. And you start to have like people starting to be influenced by like Euro comics, and some Euro writers are like coming over to the States and like writing some Marvel and DC stuff. It's cool. It's exciting. And then you have the growth of coloring. Like comic coloring starts to like look really good, but only sometimes, because some of it's colored the old way because it's cheap, and some of it's colored with like new computer graphics, and like people don't really know what to do with it, so they're doing their best. It's just like, man, it's just such a wild time to read comic books. I've been on the DC app reading like basically a ton of 90s stuff. I wish one comic I just wanted to read and they did not have on the app was I had no idea that Garth Ennis wrote, like, pre-Preacher, wrote The Demon. And I would love to read that stuff. Would love to. Hey man, don't knock Ash. Ash is good actually. Ziggy, have you? I know you're a Garth Ennis fan. Have you read The Demon? I don't know if you're still in the chat room. Is it good? Does it hold up? I had like, I want to say the first like 20 of them, and then got rid of them without reading them. Um, just like never got around to it, and I was like, I'm never gonna read these. And that was before I knew kind of who Garth Ennis was. Like I just kind of like stumbled into those comics. It was before I knew who Garth Ennis was, and it was before that I really had any respect for Jack Kirby. So, and The Demon is a Jack Kirby creation. And I was like, now that I love Jack Kirby and understand like what he was doing and what he was about, which was punching Nazis, respect for women, and making cool comics. I was like, oh shit, I should have read The Demon. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it either. Pre-Preacher, like his work pre-Preacher. It could be freaking rad. But it's for whatever reason it's not on the DC app. DC like collects stuff in weird ways on the app, uh, where if like a modern collection didn't get made anytime soon, it like just doesn't pop up on the app. Like they're not sitting there scanning in old books, dropping them into the app. Like that's not where their priorities are, because they're there to make money, and only weird comic book perverts like myself want to read this old stuff. Garth Ennis' Hitman is excellent. I have read that, or some of it anyway. I don't know if I've read all of it. Man, Hitman 2, such a great character. They should bring him back. I don't know what they're going to bring him back to, but they should do that. All right. We have kind of colored about half the characters. I've been streaming for 2 hours. I'm kind of starting to get tired. Kind of want to sit around and read some Batman. It's 10:30, so I think I'm gonna call it for now. Wolverine looks great. The rest of it's iffy. We'll see if we can improve it on the next stream next week. If y'all want to play some games with me, we're going to play some simple 2000 PS2 budget titles from Japan. I won't neglect Strong Guy. Strong Guy is going to be the last one, and this is why. Strong Guy is going to be heavily influenced by like whatever we do with the smoke, because he's the furthest back, and he's kind of drawn to be like kind of faded back there. So we got to figure that out. Time to read some Guy Gardner Warrior. Yes. Yeah, we're gonna play some budget PS2 Japanese games that didn't come over to the States or Europe, as far as I know. If I can get them to work. We'll see. I haven't booted up this Japanese PS2 yet. I haven't plugged everything in, so we'll see about that. If that doesn't happen, we'll play some Fire Emblem on Saturday. And on Sunday, I'm going to be on Arcade Pit on twitch.tv/smite. if you want to watch me play some Nick Arcade style game show with Boix that's based on video games, come join us. It's a wild time. I won the last one. Boix and we won the last arcade pit that we played. So basically, I'm 1-0. I don't know what Boix's record is because he plays a little more than I do, but I'm 1-0, and I'm ready to defend the title. Is all I'm saying. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. That's happening on Sunday night. So yeah, we're still talking about Guy Gardner? No, we're ending the stream. We're not talking about Guy Gardner anymore. Fuck's sake. We've already talked about Guy Gardner way too much. Way too much. All right. I'll see you next week for more. We're going to work on this X-Men piece. Hopefully start to get to the point where we're finishing it off. So we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. I'm really hoping to not drag this into like a 4-parter, but we'll see. Thanks for hanging out.